Hello beautiful friends, and welcome back to Earth Fit Way. I'm excited that you're here. If you are here for the first time, then please subscribe or like this video or share this video with anyone who you think that it would benefit, because that is how these messages gets out to more people and the channel grows. So I've recently had a lot of people, friends of mine, reach out and ask about how to get better at running and some running tips, and I've been sending lots of different messages and voice notes to my friends to kind of coach them through it. Even though I'm not a running coach specifically, I will give a little disclaimer there. I am a fitness coach, but I don't specialize in running. I just love running myself, and I've been kind of coaching them through it, giving them some tips, and I just thought, well, why not make this video and share it with the greater world, because I'm sure that someone will benefit from this. I know that when I first started running, I would definitely benefit from it, and I think the more people that are running, the better, and the more people that are fitter, stronger, faster, happier, more fulfilled than ever, the better. This is your video for my top 10 running tips from a runner herself who's been running for a long time. I've been always loved athletics ever since I was a little kid. I've always been running, and there has been periods in my life where I haven't run as much, but now it's very much a huge part of my life, and I run marathons, ultra marathons, I do HYROX events, which is mostly a running race with obstacles, and I just run and I love it. So if you do get any value out of it, then please do let me know in the comment section. I would love that. Top tip number 1. Only increase one thing at a time. And what I mean by that is you don't want to increase your mileage and your pace at the same time. You want to incrementally increase either your pace or your kilometers that you're running on each run. And the reason being is because if you do both at the same time, you will run the risk of injury, because your cardiovascular system develops much faster than your bones, your tendons, your ligaments, your muscles. Those parts need more time to develop and recover and get really conditioned for that mileage or that level of impact through the pace. So I learned this the hard way, I promise. I'm speaking the truth here, because I did not do that and I ended up with injuries. So you don't want to end up with injuries, because if you do have an injury like I did, I had patella tendonitis, which is runner's knee, and I had to have 2 weeks off running, and then had to dramatically decrease the mileage that I was doing, because I had to recover more and let my knees actually build, and the strength around my knees and the bones get stronger, tendons get stronger and everything. So you want to either increase the kilometers that you're doing for that week, so you can increase from maybe 10Ks to 12Ks and keep it there for about 2 to 3 weeks, so your body gets used to, like, oh yeah, that's how much we're running. Or you can increase your speed. So increase from, say, a 5:30 per kilometer pace to a maybe 4:45 kilometer pace, and increase it there, because when you increase your pace, it's much more impact on your feet, your bones, and so it needs recovery time. And same for if you're increasing the kilometers, it's much more tension on your bones and your body. So keep those two things separate, and the best time frame, like I said, is about 2 to 3 weeks to let your body really get used to either that pace or that mileage, and then increase. Or you could increase by 3 kilometers. That's not too much to increase by, but just stay there for, say, 2 to 3 weeks. And then same for the pace as well. So that's my number 1 tip, because you really don't want to get injuries. It's not fun when you have injuries, because then you have to stop doing the thing that you love and the thing that you really desire to get better at. Tip number 2, nasal breathing. I know that this is probably a very well-known one, and even in any kind of HIIT training, strength training, anything, nasal breathing is so important, but particularly with running, because it actually helps to keep your heart rate lower if you're nasal breathing. It is harder to breathe through the nose. That's why you see a lot of these strips now for people doing races and things like that, because it opens up the nasal cavity so they can breathe through their nose, because you can actually go for longer if you are breathing through your nose. Because if you're breathing through your mouth, you put yourself in a fight or flight state, your heart rate rises, there's more cortisol, and that means more fatigue, more lactic acid, and it is a lot harder to keep going. You get a lot more fatigued. So you want to nasal breathe for as long as you can. And if you are running longer distance, you do want to go at that pace where you are able to have a conversation and nasal breathe. Obviously, if you are doing sprint training or you're doing threshold runs, you may not be able to breathe through your nose. If you can't breathe through your nose the whole time, then I would recommend doing a couple of mouth breaths, and then every fifth one, try and breathe through your nose, just to keep a few cycles of that nostril breathing through your body, because that is really going to help oxygenate your blood much better. It's going to keep your heart rate lower, and you'll be less fatigued because of it. And there's so many more benefits of nasal breathing, but I highly recommend it. It's been something that I've really been focusing on recently, is training myself to nasal breathe, because I can definitely mouth breathe, and it has been such a game changer, because I have had issues with my psoas before in the past, and ever since I've been nasal breathing a lot more, I haven't had those issues, because it's not putting as much stress on my nervous system, and your psoas is hugely connected to your nervous system and fight or flight stress. So please, nasal breathe, practice it. Moving on to tip number 3, no overstriding. And what I mean by that is, when you are working on going faster for your pace, it's very easy to overstride with your feet, which means that you're stretching your legs out further in front of you and heel striking the ground, which is going to put a lot more impact pressure on your legs and knees and hips than is necessary, and it's going to create more injury. So instead of overstriding, what you want to be doing is you want to be getting your legs closer to your bum. You want to use your hamstrings to get your feet closer up to your bum. And what that does is that creates more acceleration, and it's more focused on using your posterior chain, which is the big muscles on your back. They are really focused on power and movement. Practice in your warm-ups doing butt kicks and getting your body used to using more of your hamstrings and your glutes for power than using the force motion of overstriding, because again, you'll just create more injury. So get your feet up to your butt to go faster. Tip number 4, zone 2 running. So you probably heard of this before. Zone 2 running is your aerobic zone, which basically just means that your heart rate is at a rate where it is comfortable to hold that for a long period of time. So this means that you can have a conversation with someone while you're running. I use my Garmin watch to track my zone 2. I usually know when I'm in my zone 2 or not, because your heart rate feels quite comfortable. You're working, but you can have a conversation. You're not breathing through your mouth heavily because you're not super puffed out. You can still breathe through your nose. You can have that conversation, like I said, and it feels quite comfortable. It feels like, okay, I could probably stay here for a couple of hours and be fine. That's your zone 2. And that is where most of the magic happens when it comes to your fitness, because when you're in that zone 2, you're not in that high spike cortisol level. You're not in that lactic acid threshold. You are in a very comfortable place. So it's all about nervous system when it comes to running. You want to really train your nervous system to be comfortable in that zone of running, or running for long distance. Especially if you're wanting to learn to run longer, it is best to stay in zone 2 and then do specific speed work, threshold work outside of that. So for this tip, it's really focusing on that zone 2 more than you do on the others. So you want to do your zone 2 at least 2 or 3 times a week. If you're going to be running, say, every day, 5 days a week, you probably want to have rest days in there. So I'm just going to say you want to be doing at least 2 or 3 zone runs, and then maybe 1 speed session or threshold session. So zone 2 is very important. And so without having to calculate exactly what that is for yourself, just focus on being able to have a conversation and nasal breathe. Like, nasal breathing is quite comfortable in zone 2. So if you can comfortably nasal breathe, you're probably in zone 2. If you're, say, running 5 days a week, then it's important to do 3 of those days in zone 2, because that is where your body integrates, your nervous system integrates with running, and that is where all the magic happens to really make you fitter over time. And it does actually make you faster over time by staying in that zone. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but it really does. Tip number 5 is sprint training. So if you're going to be running 5 days a week and you're going to be doing 3 of those in the zone 2, then one of those days can be sprint training. And sprint training is where you are literally what it says, sprint training. This can be for multiple different distances. So as an example for myself, I do 200 meter sprints on one of the days, and maybe the next week I'll do 400 meter sprints, and then the next week I'll do 800 meter sprints. Because it's good to do the different distances to train your body on getting used to a different pace and pushing your lactic threshold and your ability for your body to move that lactic acid. And that's why sprint training is really important, because you're sprinting, you're building up so much lactic acid, and then you're having a break before you go again. So your body is learning to naturally clear that lactic acid, which is important. But it is also immobilizing fat. It's making you faster. It's building your VO2 max, so your volume of oxygen in your body as well. So many good benefits for this, and it helps you to actually run further over time. So if you are training for a marathon or something like a Hyrox where it is fast as well, this is really, really good for that. So you just want to go as fast as you can. It doesn't matter about pace. You can track your pace with a Garmin or a sports watch or whatever you have. Tracking your pace is great, so you do know, so then you can try and beat it the next time. But it doesn't matter if you have that. All you need to do is just go as fast as you can for that amount of time or that amount of meterage. So I would always say it's good to do at least 10 rounds. So if you're running 200 meter sprints, you're doing, because obviously for 200 meters you could go much faster than you would if you're doing 800 meter sprints, and same for 400. So you get these different speeds and you're able to push yourself faster, harder for different distances. So all you need to do is just go as fast as you can for that amount of time. Give yourself a decent break in between where you feel like your heart rate has recovered, the lactic acid has moved, and then going into your next round. But it's incredibly important. So do that. It's a different type of running, but it will help you long distance if you are training for long distance. Tip number 6 is threshold runs. So you are keeping your heart rate in more of the zone 3, which is the orange zone. So that's where your heart rate is a bit higher. You may be needing to mouth breathe a little bit here, even though you probably shouldn't. You should nose breathe, but you can't hold a conversation on this pace. You're working. And you want to hold these thresholds for a distance. So maybe 8 kilometers or maybe 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers, but you want to be pushing your heart rate a bit more in this one, where you're actually working harder, where you're trying to perhaps increase your pace for 10 kilometers. And so you're working a bit harder, your heart rate's higher, you're breathing heavier, you're in the orange zone. And for me, the orange zone is about 150 beats per minute for my heart. That's when I know that I'm in the orange zone, and you want to hold that for a little bit longer. And what that does as well is gets your nervous system and your body conditioned for keeping your body at 80% of your max heart rate for a longer period of time. So your body adapts better to being in a higher stress state or a cortisol or adrenaline state for a little bit longer, and your body is starting to get used to that pace and also that level of stress on your body, because it can be quite taxing. It's hard. It's a hard push. It's not like an easy zone 2 run where it feels really nice and you can have a conversation and you're like, oh wow, that was really great, I had so much fun. Like, this is a bit more of a push. The sprint training is a real push, and then the threshold is a 80% push, where it's like you're working hard, heart rate higher for a longer period of time, again because that is going to make you fitter overall. It's going to help with your VO2 max, your blood oxygen levels, and all of the things. So if you're doing, again, 5 days a week of running, I would say 1 day a week of a threshold run is great. So 3 of your zone 2, and then 1 day of sprint training, and then 1 day of threshold where you are in your high aerobic zone, you're in your threshold, a high heart rate for a little bit longer of a pace and of a distance. Tip number 7, good running shoes and good running socks. Game changer. And I honestly feel like having good socks is almost better than having good shoes, but both are very, very important. I find the Asics Kyanos really great. I have multiple pairs of those and I love them. I've used them for my marathons, ultra marathons, Hyroxes, all the things. I love them. So they are my favorite, and they've been the most comfortable and supportive for my feet because they are wider on my toes, and I do prefer to have more spaciousness for my toes. And there's lots of good running shoes out there. I don't know all of them off the top of my head. I'm just going to say that I love the Asics Kyanos. They've been game changer for me. So making sure that you have really good quality shoes that are comfortable for you. Honestly, just go to Athlete's Foot, get your foot measured and checked so you know what's actually going to be supportive for you. That's what I did, and I found my dream shoes, and I just keep using them, and they've been really great every single time. Socks, also really important. I have toe socks. I have Creeper socks. These are my toe socks that I have. These ones are actually Angeny brand, but I love my Creeper brand. They're called Creepers, and they are New Zealand merino wool. Super breathable, just so good. Even if you're running in the rain, it doesn't bother you because they're just super durable. And even when I've been running through puddles and my shoes have been wet, my feet haven't felt wet because of these socks. And the toe socks themselves, why we do the toe socks is because it separates your toes and it stops you getting blisters in your toes, which if you are doing marathons or ultra marathons, blisters are absolutely a thing. With these Angeny ones, I wore these for my first marathon. I got blisters, not in between my toes, but underneath the arch of my foot. I got blisters. And I thought, these actually aren't as great as I thought they were. So then I did more research and got the Creeper socks, which is what all the ultra marathoners use. And it was such a game changer. I literally never get blisters anymore. And I did an ultra marathon run, did not get a blister. It was amazing. And I just love them. And it's all I wear now. And they're just so supportive of everything. You don't get blisters, you don't get sore toes, they're just the best. And they're wool, they're good for you, super supportive. So toe socks, it's all I wear now, would highly recommend. Tip number 8, don't stop when it gets hard. When it gets hard, that is where your body is creating the change that it needs to get fitter, to get stronger, to get faster, to be a better runner. When it starts to get hard, that is when it begins. Because trust me, every time I am on that second lap of that 800 meter sprint, I am like, I hate this sucks. I want to stop. Every part of me, the lactic acid is building, my legs are burning, my lungs are burning, my brain is saying, stop this now, it hurts, ouch, stop, and it gets really hard. That is where you want to make sure that you keep going and keep pushing yourself, because that is where the change is happening. Change doesn't happen without that last push. It's like childbirth, right? It's like as soon as the baby's head is out, you're so close to getting that baby out, and then it's the last push that is always the most painful. I have not had children myself, but I speak to a lot of women, and that's what they say. It's called the transition, when it's you're just about to get to the end, you're just about to break through, and that is where it hurts the most and you feel like you can't keep going. So the thing about getting good with running is being okay with suffering, being okay with pushing through that moment where you're like, it is so hard, I want to stop, I hate this, it sucks. Be with that. It's okay for it to suck a little bit, because the next time it's going to suck less. And every single time you can break through that suffering a little bit more. And great runners weren't born just from doing easy runs all the time. It's things like sprints where it hurts and it's hard. That's where greatness and success is really created. Tip number 9. Tip number 9. Strength training. So important. Obviously it's not running, but it's so important to strengthen your muscles, to be in the gym, to be lifting weights, to be resistance training, and especially for runners to be doing single leg strength training. So Bulgarian split squats, walking lunges, or lateral lunges, or anything to do with single leg strength movement is so important to make you a better runner. Because I had to learn this about doing single leg strengthening exercises because I had a patella tendonitis, which was an injury to my knee. And as soon as I started doing single leg training, so like Bulgarian split squats, they suck. They're really hard to do. They hurt a lot, but it completely changed my running, and my injury went away so much faster because of it. Because it strengthens the muscles around your knees. It strengthens all of the muscles in your legs, in your calves. And essentially running is a single leg exercise, because when you stride, you're on one foot for that time until the other foot strides out in front. So it's a single leg exercise. So you need to be doing single leg strengthening exercises in the gym, but also all round strength training for your whole body, because you want your muscles to be strong, and especially because running can be catabolic as well. If you're not eating enough food, it can be catabolic, which means that it makes your muscles smaller and a little bit weaker if you are not strength training. So if you want to be an overall great runner and a strong runner, you need to be in the gym lifting some weights, or not even in the gym, just doing some sort of resistance training at home where it's single leg and all round resistance training. Tip number 10, recovery. Recovery is important. So as I said before, if you're running 5 days a week, make sure that you are getting those 2 days rests. And on those 2 days rests, you're doing things like mobility, you're stretching, maybe actively recovering, like doing walking or something like that, doing some massage for yourself, but making sure that you really are getting recovery in there, because this is where a lot of the magic happens for your bones, tendons, ligaments that I was speaking about before, that needs that time to get conditioned. That is where they rebuild and get stronger, is on those recovery days. So make sure that you are locking in that recovery time for yourself, so you can actually be better on the days that you do have off. And I would honestly really recommend someone who is like a sports physiotherapist to massage and to speak you through how to really do recovery well. I have someone that I see here locally, and he's been amazing. Every time he works on my legs and my body, and especially for running, because he knows I'm a runner, he does a lot of the massage on all of the small bones in your shins and your calves, because shin splints can be a thing if you're not massaging the muscles around your shins. And he teaches me all about that and massages them and tells me how to work with those things so I don't get shin splints. So now I don't get shin splints because I really work on those muscles in your shins and your calves, because obviously they do a lot of work when you run. So it's incredibly important to have someone or have a therapist who can teach you and who can also work on you to help you be better, because again, the better you recover, the better of a runner you're going to be. So those are my top 10 tips for you for running. I hope that this video was really helpful for any of the runners who are looking into running, and take or leave anything that resonates with you. It will all be helpful if you do integrate all of these things. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how it can serve you in your running journey, because running has absolutely changed my life and I love it so much, and it's such a place for me to really clear my head and to be in my own internal space and to be with my own mind, my own thoughts and emotions and process and all of the things. It's been so transformational for me, and also it's really created so much community around me as well who love running as well. So anyways, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. Please comment anything that resonated for you or that you really got away from from this or took away from this. And if you do start implementing it and you do notice some progression in your life, please message me, because I love hearing this as well. I love hearing that these tips can really help you. So please like and subscribe here, and I will see you soon. Thank you for joining me. I love you guys. Bye.